encourage you to use this opportunity to act on your instincts. Whatever we decide, we'll be together.
Well, I guess sort of starting off, it's my understanding that you really lobbied to tell this story. Is that correct?
Well, I read the book and fell in love with it, and found out that Kerry Roberts had the rights to it, anonymous content, and it was a competitive situation. So I had to fight for it.
What was it about the story that made you so passionate and so determined to direct the film adaptation?
I guess there's so many aspects we could talk about, but I guess the driving passion came from this couple. I fell in love with this couple, and how this explored a relationship in a really deep way. And I guess Hen, the central character for me, I really loved what she represented and what she was fighting for. She really had, she really understood the preciousness of time and wanted to live her life to the fullest. And I guess that was something that I align with in my own life. So I guess it was this super exciting, philosophical thriller in a way, that kind of ended up being a really beautiful story about humanity, I guess, in this character's journey. So that's what drove me to it.
Definitely. And you wrote the screenplay with the book's author, Ian Reid. How did he come on board as a screenwriter?
I think the question is, how did we come on board? Because it wasn't the plan. We did have a list of screenwriters we wanted to go to, but they were just unavailable for such a long time. So in the meantime, we met up in Los Angeles and went into the office, and I had a lot of questions about the book. It was really nice to meet him, and we're just page turning, and very quickly realized that we had so much in common, and we just got along really well. It just felt right. And in that day we were in the room together going through the material, we just started to formulate a vision for the film. So when we came out of that meeting, we went up, knocked on the producer's office and just said, look, we'd really love to have a crack at this. We really feel the film and we think we could write it together. And that's how it started.
And it's interesting, I guess, transferring a book to a different medium with sort of its creator. So I'm wondering, did that make for some sort of interesting conversations about like what would stay in the book and what you would sort of omit, and were you sort of, sort of teaching him the sort of differences in writing a novel compared to a screenplay? Was it an interesting sort of combination in that writer's room?
I guess I love writers because through the writers I find the truth of the story, and like even when I did Top of the Lake, when I was asked to do Top of the Lake, I was given all these hours of television to look at, and I guess I really needed to talk to Jane and Gerard to understand what motivated their decisions behind the characters. So I guess I have a huge respect for writers, and had a huge respect for Ian. And I guess he also knew that this isn't about copying the book. This is about my vision for it, or a shared vision for it. And he was very supportive and excited about deviating from the story. So I guess all the problems you think may arise just didn't arise. In fact, it was for him as well, a very exciting process. I guess we have very different sensibilities, which when you bring them together, we thought created this very unique voice that excited us. So it was just totally enjoyable.
Oh, terrific. And I guess the film's sort of coming out at an interesting time because there's been a little bit of a influx of films exploring the idea of artificial intelligence. A couple I can think of is Gareth Edwards' The Creator and the latest Mission Impossible film. Why do you think there has been a bit of a surge in film sort of exploring this topic?
I guess it's in the zeitgeist. I think there is a collective subconscious and we all tap into it in some ways. I mean, when Ian wrote this, it just wasn't in the media, or it wasn't really that relevant at the time. Even when we made the movie, it wasn't as prevalent. But during the edit, yes, it all started to come to life. So I guess we are processing and starting to explore where we're heading and what that means. So I guess that's why we're making it, because clearly it's on everyone's minds.
Yeah, definitely. And I guess and like part of that chatter is also there's a lot of people debating, I guess, whether there's a place for AI in the film industry. And, as a director, I'm wondering, where do you stand on that matter? Do you think there's a place for AI in film?
To be honest, it's a very tricky question. I feel like this is going to be a major shift in our evolution. I think it's huge, way bigger than we think. So I guess I'm cautious about it. I do think it's going to replace a lot of jobs. Yeah, I'm kind of concerned. I mean, I can see how maybe it could take creativity into new realms. I guess I can understand that, and that's very attractive. But, I guess what's going to be left behind is going to be interesting.
Yeah, definitely. And when I was watching Foe, I feel like its inspirations would come from so many different sources, because you've really created a film that's a fusion of so many genres. Were there any films in particular that served as touchstones or antecedents?
Uh, Not really. I think early in my career, I'd often reference movies, but now I kind of look to paintings and more visual reference, I guess. But there were a few things maybe that lurked around. I definitely, in the setup of the film, it definitely had a Hitchcockian feel, which I love Hitchcock movies, and also maybe Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf. I love, and John Cassavetes. I love those directors because the performances are so kind of alive and raw and kind of breaking at the seams, and I really love that kind of acting, which we don't get anymore. So I guess some of these were maybe mentioned as a bit of to set the tone, I guess, or the parameters where we can go. But I grew up when sci-fis were really good. Like Alien, all the Blade Runner, all those great movies, and I guess I still don't think we're making movies as good as that anymore. And I guess I'm really drawn to those character-driven sci-fis. And we're very clear on what we didn't want to do, if you know what I mean. So we almost go, we don't want to do that. We want to do something that feels very grounded.
Yeah, and it's interesting you say that, because and the Virginia Woolf reference, because it is a really contained story. It's a bit of a chamber piece, and because predominantly it is, your three characters conversing in the house. And I'm wondering, when you're writing and when you're filming, how do you manage to keep that exciting? Because that is quite a challenge.
Yeah, I mean, I knew it would work because there's so many layers to what's happening. So like there's the story you think you're watching, and then there's a story that's really happening. So I guess every scene has high stakes and high mystery, if that makes sense. So I knew there was a lot there, even though it may not seem there's a lot happening. You can feel it under the surface. So I guess I felt confident that the story itself and the secret rivers, the kind of relationships, you're very engaged when you watch this movie. You're really trying to orientate yourself and figure out what's going on. So I guess that's what I love about it. It's kind of so simple, but also so rich at the same time. And but yes, I think the material gave me the confidence to kind of really embrace that simplicity.
And that's the thing, because when I walked out of the film, the first thing I thought to myself was, this would be such a different sort of viewing experience the second time I watched it. And did you sort of have to, I guess, maybe, I wouldn't say change your process, but was it a different experience knowing that, you kind of have to make these reveals work, and it's a very different type of story to tell?
Yeah, I guess it is a movie you can watch twice, and it's two different movies, like literally two different experiences, which was really exciting for us, but also a great challenge because, look, at the end of the day, the actors have to be playing the truth of what's happening in the scene. So we really just had to make sure that the dialogue and the architecture of all the scenes worked for both viewings. You couldn't manipulate the truth to make one viewing work better than the other. Like, it had to be, the conceit and the lies and the secret rivers all had to work. So it was, I guess it was a challenge that really attracted me to the project. And that flowed through in every department, like the camera, for example. It was just so exciting to decide where we're going to favour the point of view and how we're going to weight the scene based on which truth we wanted to share with the audience, if that makes sense. So yeah, that was really fun.
Yeah, I bet. And it's, a film's always better when you got, these brilliant actors at the center of it. And Paul, Aaron, Saoirse, they're so terrific in the film. I'm wondering, I guess, how did each of them sort of come into your orbit, and what about their performances impressed you?
Because the heart of the film is with Hen. It's really her story ultimately. When you boil it down, she was the one that we wanted to cast first. And I guess I was very aware that when we first meet Hen in the film, she's a little hard to get close to, because her behaviour is quite erratic, quite hot and cold. And it's not for quite a way into the story do we fully understand what she's going through and then emotionally connect with her, which is very powerful when it happens. So I knew that our main character was kind of hard to get to know, which is quite radical, actually. So I guess I was conscious of the fact that we needed somebody that audiences were going to align with right from the get-go. Also, when I was writing the script with Ian, I could really feel Hen's personality around us. And I guess for me, she represented what was precious in this world. You know, she has this shining light. She has a curiosity and wonder with living things. And I guess that painted a picture in my mind of a personality that had this shining light, if that makes sense. So that led me to Saoirse Ronan, because that's how I see her. You know, it doesn't matter what role she plays, her inner light always comes through her work, her kind of personality. And that's not about acting. It's something kind of beautiful and human. So luckily for us, she really engaged with the material, and we got her on, and then had to go and find her a husband. And I really want this chemistry to feel natural and real. So, you know, I wanted to do my homework, and then it led us to Paul Mescal. And, you know, the longer I sat with him in the meeting, the more I realized just how perfect he was for the role. He was so passionate about the themes, and the reasons why he wanted to make it I knew were going to drive a really special performance. And their shared Irish heritage just brought a believability to the relationship on screen, and what you witness in the film, this kind of really amazing chemistry that doesn't feel like acting. It feels very genuine. The trickiest character was Terence. You know, the antagonist, stranger in the night, you can always trip and make it feel like a trope or a stereotype. So I guess then we stumbled across Aaron Pierre, who is a really beautiful actor. Theatre, it comes from theatre. He did Underground Railroad with Barry Jenkins, so he's done some beautiful work. But yeah, his physical stature was really amazing. Just this kind of imposing kind of height and scale. He's just really quite amazing when he walks into the room, which was important for the story because Junior wouldn't win in a physical altercation. He also had these beautiful eyes that just bringing beauty into the world in that way was really amazing. And then, yeah, he has this intellectual prowess that just, he could bring such truth to all the things that Terence was doing, you know, and such musicality to his performance, you know, so disorientating. 1 minute he's threatening, next minute he's charming, all in the one breath, you know. So yeah, we're really lucky with him.
His eyes are truly something else. I thought watching the film, like, you could get lost in those. But I guess sort of in wrapping up, I guess looking at your filmography, you know, Lion, Mary Magdalene, Foe, I understand for a while you were attached to Tron 3, although that didn't come to pass. That's a very diverse quartet. And I'm wondering, could you tell me about how you pick your projects? Do you go searching for variety, or is this just sort of the projects that come to you?
It's all of the above. And I have formed a company now, so we can actually search for material. So and kind of put a framework around what we're looking for. But it's a bit of both. I guess for me, it doesn't matter what world we go to or what genre we enter. I think the human relationships are the things that I'm interested in the most. And as long as that's the heart of the story, I'm happy to go anywhere. And in fact, I enjoy going different places. I enjoy bringing to life these worlds and bringing it to an audience in a kind of an immersive way. I find that exciting, and that's why I go to the cinema.
Definitely. And I guess just before I sort of get the hook, I got to say I'm quite bummed that I'm not going to see your version of Tron 3, because that sounded so cool when that was announced a couple of years ago. What was that going to be like?
It would have been good. It would have been good. But look, I'm not going to dance in that space unless I can really be myself in the material, and so I guess those circumstances have to align. Otherwise, it's just not worth it.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, even though that didn't come to pass, you made a very impressive film here, and congratulations. Thank you for fitting me into your schedule and
Of course.
doing it over Zoom. It's really been a pleasure talking to you. I really admire your work. I went to the premiere of Lion at the State Theatre so many years ago and was
That
really
was
blown
nice.
over. So it's really cool to be talking with you right now.
Yeah, thanks, man. Thank you so much.